Hi, I'm Alex with PCRI. Today I'm sitting here with Mr. Steve Schwartz. I really love his approach to how he dealt with his prostate cancer. It was extremely proactive, he did a ton of research, and it's exactly what I wish every prostate cancer patient would do. And today we're just going to talk about his journey.
Well, it's a little bit of a long story. It all occurred about 8 years ago. I'm 63 now, so I was about 55 years old. Felt great, was doing regular PSA tests and saw my PSA rising from 3 to 4 to 6 to 8. Doctor did a digital exam, felt something, sent me to the local urologist who did a random 14 needle biopsy. And lo and behold, it comes back and they said one of them was a Gleason 3-4 and that I was gonna probably need to do some type of treatment. Let's go schedule surgery and we'll do it next week and have it removed. I go, whoa, wait a minute, I'm gonna do research. My wife had breast cancer, I got involved in hers. I just believe that you gotta be your own advocate and understand so you can ask the right questions my whole life, whether it's with lawyers or doctors or architects. I never just accept what somebody tells me. I got to understand it. So I started doing my own research, started going to various places from a surgeon to have it removed, knowing that if I was going to have it removed, it was going to be somebody that's done thousands of them as opposed to the local urologist who's done 20. Went and looked at radiation, went and looked at Loma Linda at proton beam therapy and active surveillance, all the options. And of course, everybody told me their option was the best. And if I didn't do it, I was going to die. So in the meantime, I'm reading that not all the tests, the people that are reading your test get it the same. So I go, let's do another one. The next guy comes back 3-3 instead of 3-4. And I go, oh, maybe it can go active surveillance 3-3. I'm going to get a third guy to break the tie. And the one thing that I've found, nobody agrees on anything in this business. The only thing that people have agreed upon is Dr. Epstein at John Hopkins is the best. And so I sent it to him and he said, it's not cancerous, it's pre-cancerous. I go, well, what do I do now? So now I'm confused completely. And then I find a neighbor who had gone to a prostate oncologist, Dr. Scholz, who did nothing but prostate oncology, spoke very highly of him. And he said exactly what I wanted to hear, that I needed somebody that had no skin in the game. It's still a money game, right? The surgeon makes money when you have surgery. The people at Loma Linda make money on their $100 million proton beam. The radiologist makes money on the radiation, and they believe in their product, and financially and morally and everything. So I like the idea that there was somebody who had no skin in the game. So I go see him and I go, what do I have? So he says it's crazy to be doing random biopsies. Let's start with some imaging. He did a doppler imaging for me in his office, and he says, I can see what the doctor felt at your digital exam. And he goes, I think that they missed it completely on their random biopsy. What? The spot that they found that turned out that Epstein says is nothing is way over here. It wasn't anywhere near where they felt it. And he goes, I can see this. We need to do an MRI-guided biopsy. But really, why doesn't everybody do that? That seems kind of better. He said, well, a lot of doctors don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get reimbursed for it. And I think he told me like close to 90% of people are still doing random biopsies. So I go, okay, how many needles this time? 3. I go, 3? We did 14 or 13 last time. We're only doing 3. Yep, we know right where it is. We can see it. So I go, okay, did 3, come back 3 for 3, 80% involved, Gleason 8. 4-4. So to me, that was kind of the whole story. 0 for 13, 3 for 3. It was kind of unbelievable to me that you could possibly have a situation where people are getting random biopsies when there's a method to see where you're going as opposed to random. So then that's when I started to look at treatments, because at the Gleason 8 now there was no choice. I sent it to Epstein again. He agreed. Gleason 8, unfortunately or fortunately, so we had to look at treatments. It was very small, and so one of the treatments, Dr. Scholz, I wanted quality of life was important to me, so he had a guy up in the Santa Barbara area, Dr. Bahn, who has been for a number of years doing cryo, but a partial cryo where they're freezing that section of your prostate. They had to check the rest of my prostate, make sure there was nothing else there, and I did that, did the cryo 7 years ago, and had virtually no side effects sexually or in incontinence. Compared to what I've been reading about with everybody else, longer term with radiation and shorter term with surgery. Anyone who tells you the surgery they were having no problem, if you really ask the people,
right,
they all are. So I did that. It was great. Fast forward 6-7 years, and my PSA starts going up. And so we do another Doppler, do another MRI. They see nothing. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, does that mean that it escaped the Bahn? Maybe. If you want to go check it out, the best place is a doctor in Arizona that has an advanced imaging that sees things years before others can see it, the current technology. You have to pay out of pocket. It was like $3,000. I flew to Arizona, did that imaging. The doctor comes out and says, I see 2 spots in your pelvis. Nothing on any of your kidneys or liver or anywhere else, but 2 little spots, but I don't think they're cancer because they're too small and they don't look like the shape. I go, oh, that's good. I said, and I've always been someone to ask questions. I said, well, I did an imaging PET scan 7 years ago. You want to compare the two? And he said, that's a good idea. So he looks at him, a day or two later, he says, instead of 90% sure it's not cancer, he was 90% sure it was metastasis. I go, oh, I liked it before better, but so I was a little confused again. I went to the radiology department at UCLA to get a second opinion, have them look at the imaging, and they said, highly suspicious for metastasis. So went back to Dr. Scholz, who was of the opinion, which I agree 100%, is you hit it hard early, and that's one of the reasons I did the imaging and spent the extra money was to catch it early. And I think the example he used, a lot easier to put out a fire in a waste paper basket as opposed to the house on fire. Mm-hmm. So the recent studies in Latitude and Stampede had shown just at the end of 17 came out, and they showed, used to be you took Lupron, which was to remove all your testosterone. That stopped working, you went to the next and the next until you died. The Scholz theory, and he'd been doing it for a while, and these 2 studies bore that out, is that combining some of these drugs early was reducing deaths by 35, 40, 45%. Huge amounts, changed everything. And so he suggested that I do all 3, the chemo, the Lupron, and the Zytiga. Again, I went to UCLA to get a second opinion, and I said, look, it makes sense to me if Lupron and Zytiga are better than Lupron or Zytiga alone, so A plus B is better than A or B, and if Lupron and chemo is better than Lupron or chemo alone, so A plus C is better than A or C, wouldn't A plus B plus C be even better? And UCLA's doctor, I saw Dr. Drakaki there, it was really, really nice. And she said, in theory, but we would never do something until there was a clinical study. I'd like to see a clinical study on it, but they would not agree to do anything. Well, I like to think out of the box. I like the fact that he's thinking out of the box. It was logical. I said, is there anything in the chemical makeup of these 3 drugs that would make one not work? No. It's just a lot of chemicals and whatnot that you may not need. So I did all 3. I did 4 sessions of Taxotere. I did the Lupron, did the Zytiga. I also...
What was your PSA at this time?
My PSA was about 10, 9.9 was my peak. And so I didn't want to look like the cancer patient. I was very concerned. I went to a place that, I forget the name of it online, you can actually put a freeze cap on your head. You wear it for like 4 hours after, and I didn't lose my hair. Dr. Scholz had said that people who work out with weights do much better with on Lupron and ADT than people who don't. And so I went to a local trainer, meathead guy with the big V that had won awards as Mr. California, 5'10", 280 pounds at his peak, but not quite that anymore. And I walked in, I said, I got to meet you. He goes, I'm scared to death. I'm going to have no testosterone. I took my shirt off and I worked out, but not, I just, a little bit now and then. I go to the gym, kibitz a little bit, go take a sweat, lift a little weights, go on the bike. I said, I don't want to look any worse than this a year from now on this stuff. He said, if you look like that after a year in my gym, I'm closing the doors. So since then I've gone, and he works me like a dog. I mean, I work for an hour, 15 minutes, I'd say average, 3 days a week. That's it. But I'm lifting weights to exhaustion, 20 of these, and he goes, 20 more. And I every time I swear it's going to be my last time. But I feel great. I've increased muscle mass, I've lost weight, I watch what I eat. I'm not having virtually any of the side effects that I'm hearing these other guys have. Reduced libido, sure, but not to zero. No real brain fog, and I feel good. I feel probably better than I did before. I wouldn't even have a little bit of stomach problems now and then, but I wouldn't even know that I'm on it probably. So I feel good. And so I've continued that. My PSA dropped pretty fast to 0.02, and it stayed there for about a year now. And so I've been talking with Dr. Scholz and one of the other doctors in his office, and I went to UCLA again for a second opinion, and the conclusion is at month 21, I'm going to stop everything and see how it goes. The only negative, which I hadn't thought about when I got only a portion of my prostate out, is it's going to be a little more hard to monitor me, because with a prostate, my PSA will go up even if it's the cancer not coming back. So I'm going to probably have to do regular PSMA tests, and that will have to be my method of monitoring. But my prognosis appears pretty good. Dr. Scholz said his history of people who go below 0.1 and stay there, and I'm 0.02, have done extremely well in his office. And so I hit it with the kitchen sink. It almost feels like HIV, like that the way to stop it is a series of things. It appears to be where prostate cancer is headed, but they won't do anything until they have a study on it. But I'm trying to beat the game. Interestingly, when I did the SBRT on the 3 spots, there was no studies that showed that was helpful. And since then, the SABRE study, I believe it is, came out and said that it appears by zapping, the theory was, why hit mets that are here and here and here? Because if you have those, you probably have lots of micromets, so it's a waste of time. But there was also a theory of the scopal effect, where theoretically it would help your antibodies eat up the other micromets, And so they've seen that people who do that, especially with what I have as less than 5 mets, that it actually extends life. So that's the fourth thing I did. And then I also started Zometa and Celebrex, which surprisingly in those same latitude, I think it was the Latitude or the Stampede trial, showed to reduce recurrence by 20 to 22%, or death by 20 to 22% when used together. No real impact alone. They don't even know why. Mm-hmm. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.